You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hey, my loves. Welcome back to your regular scheduled programming of the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Last week, you got an episode on Monday because it was March 21st, my birthday, and I turned 30. Okay, I hope I'm adjusting well to being a 30-year-old. We will see. I'm not in my 20s anymore, but everybody says that your 20s are just like learning and growing and stumbling, and then you really come into your own on your 30s. I also saw on TikTok where somebody said that your 20s are considered your prime, but she actually thinks your 20s are your primer, and I really loved that. It's like preparing you for all the amazingness to come. So I'm really excited for my 30s. Let's get it. I don't look any older than about 17 years old, so I think I'm okay for a couple of years. But I hope you love that episode. It was so good. It was so fun for me to record, and I felt like it was one of the longer episodes that I felt was just like every piece of it was absolute gold. So I'm really hoping that you enjoyed it. And if you are wanting to overcome imposter syndrome, if you don't feel good enough, if you feel unworthy of creating a big life and a big business for yourself, if you can't see yourself making the money that you truly want to make, or that you see other people in the online space making, all because you don't feel good enough and you don't think you're qualified enough, or you feel like a fraud, then you are going to want to work with me in one-to-one coaching. We will get you so clear on the type of business that you're creating. We will make it simple as fuck so you can sign consistent clients and feel worthy and good enough as you do it. This is a 6-month coaching container. The investment is $12.22 USD a month for 6 months. There is a discount for pay in full, and this is an investment into your brain, into your business, and you will create epic fucking results when you go all in on yourself. I'm getting booked up, and once those spots are gone, they're gone for a while because it is a 6-month container. So go to the link in my show notes, book a consultation call, fill out the application, and I can't wait to meet you and change your life and change your business. And today's episode is about how to be confident when you don't feel good enough. And I always have very noteworthy things to say as I'm in the process of doing something. So what do I mean by that? When I'm coaching, I come out with like these fire quotes, like such good quotes. When I'm writing, I'll just be writing and trying to get things out, and then I'll say something so profound, so poignant, and I'm just like, wow, I didn't realize I had that in me. And that is an example of sometimes when you feel like you don't have anything to say, or things aren't working, or you don't have anything like important to say, just start writing, just start producing. Simone Soul says quality comes from quantity. So just start creating, start saying things, and you will come out with some really amazing things. But I wrote this in a chapter in my book that, again, you guys know that I'm releasing a book this year. I'm self-publishing it. It's about imposter syndrome. But I wrote this in a chapter, and it was self-acceptance is just confidence that you can see. And I was like, holy shit, that is really profound, because we all are chasing confidence. We're all like, how do I be more confident? And that is usually on the premise that there is something about ourselves that we need to change. And when we feel like there are things about us that we need to change, we're not in a state of I'm good enough now. We're not in a state of now. We're not in the current moment. So we're always looking to the future and looking to our future selves and thinking she has everything that I want, but not in a good way. It's like I need to do things to get to that place. But I always work with my clients on the premise of self-acceptance. When you fully accept yourself, you are confident in that moment. You don't need to wait for the next moment. You accept yourself now. And this doesn't mean that you're a perfect person. It doesn't mean that you don't have beliefs and thoughts that are holding you back. It doesn't mean that you don't have things about yourself that you don't like and that you kind of want to change. It means that with all of your flaws and everything that you are, you accept yourself and you know that, hey, I'm not the most perfect version of myself or the highest version of myself, but I can still achieve what I want and I can still have what I want. I'm still worthy of having what I want now. If we make it very simple in terms of signing a client, like self-acceptance will help you sign a client because you accept yourself and accept everything that you have created up until this moment. I talk a lot about how when you are overcoming imposter syndrome and you're looking to grow your business and sign clients, you have to start with the thought of, I can sign a client with the knowledge and the experience that I have right now. Because if you are constantly looking to that future version of yourself, thinking your current self isn't good enough, of course you're thinking that you need to do things or achieve things in order to get to a fake place where you're finally good enough. But good enough, as you guys have heard me say, is a feeling. Feeling worthy is a feeling. That's why it's called feeling worthy. And that is created by your thoughts, but it is mostly created by your thoughts and that feeling of worthiness, that feeling of safety in your body or excitement for yourself. And that comes from accepting yourself. So again, self-acceptance is just confidence that you can see. It always has to start with self-acceptance, and that can be really hard to take in. I have a really close friend in the business world, and she is like me, where mental health and emotional wellness and loving ourselves has not come easy because we're kind of sarcastic about it. We're kind of like, oh yeah, I know, I just need to love myself and then everything will be good. You know what I mean? Like we would joke about it and roll our eyes and it feels cringy or embarrassing. And in reality, that is literally the key to life, is like loving yourself and accepting yourself for who you are. Because when you accept yourself, it is reflected to everybody else. Think about somebody in your life or a celebrity, whoever it is, that fully accepts themselves. And even if there's a couple things about them where you're like, oh, damn, like they're kind of bold, or I can't believe they said that. Like for me, it's fucking Cody Rigsby from Peloton. He is so extra. He's so out there. He has opinions. He hates Taylor Swift. It's fucking hilarious. I love her. Like I love her music. I don't love her, but I do love her music, and I've seen her in concert like 2 times and she's amazing. But he doesn't like her. And sometimes I will laugh during a ride because he's saying the most insane shit, but he is so unapologetically himself. He is so himself, and he has such unbridled confidence in who he is and his thoughts and his beliefs, because you can just tell he accepts himself. He accepts who he is. That's all confidence is just the reflection of somebody's self-acceptance. And you can accept yourself right now. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to be anything else. You can just think to yourself, I accept who I am right now. She's not perfect. She's not doing all the right things, whatever that means. She doesn't have all the things that I truly want, but I fully accept her right now. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an exercise, okay? So brain dump everything that you have a hard time with when it comes to accepting yourself, whether that is your external appearance or something internally, whether it's your lack of boundaries, like whatever is coming up for you in terms of like, I don't really like this about myself. I want to change this about myself, and just dump it all out. Just sit down, turn on a timer for like 10 minutes and just dump it all out. Hopefully you don't need 10 minutes, but just dump it all out on a piece of paper and then look at it. and start journaling on how can you begin to accept these parts. Like, what thoughts would you have to have if you were to accept this part of you right now? If you could not move on with your life until you accepted this part of you, what thought would you need to have? And it can be like the lowest reaching thought, okay? So like when I was working through my speech impediment and the worthiness around my speech impediment, which, like, just to be clear, I still struggle with it. Like, there are times when my speech is really bad and I'm like, fuck my life. I hate my fucking speech impediment so much. But I have learned to accept myself and come back to that acceptance around the stutter, right? So when I was starting out with it, it was like, I don't love my stutter, but I don't hate it either. You know, like, there are days where I feel like I hate it, but I don't, you know, and that was like the lowest level thought, because if I tried to tell myself I love my stutter, it's not true. It's not true at all. So I started with, I don't love my stutter, but I also don't hate it, you know? So start with the lowest level thought that you can think of that you still believe, but it's not like hatred of yourself or non-acceptance of yourself, okay? Journal on where does it make sense that you feel this way about yourself, that you feel this way about your body, that you feel this way about your lack of boundaries, that you feel this way about how somebody's treating you, that you feel about your lack of action taking. How does it make sense? Where did it come from? Who instilled a belief in you? Who told you you weren't good enough when it came to this thing? How does it make sense? Like, really show yourself that compassion in terms of it makes sense why your brain thinks that you can't accept this part of you, right? And lastly, what if this part was a child just wanting love? And usually you can tie everything back to your childhood and a past experience in which, like, you were being shaped and you were being molded to think and do and how you should be and how you should move in the world. That all happens when we're children, right? And what if you just thought of a version of yourself as a young kid and you looked at them and you were putting all these things about them that you didn't accept onto them, and look how sad they are, and look how much they just want your love and acceptance. You look at a kid, I mean, not all kids, let's be honest, but you look at a kid and you know that they are worthy of everything that they want. You know that they are worthy of love and support, and they are so capable and they have so much life in front of them. You know what I mean? Like, you would never look at an innocent child and think like, they're not worthy, I don't accept this part of them, you know? Like, they're just trying to make their way in the world, and so were you, and so are you, really. And so you can journal on that as well, in terms of like, what if that part was a child just wanting love? How can you accept that part of yourself then? And this may take you a while. You may have a lot of parts, or you just have a couple that you're like, oh, these really stand out for me, and you can start there. You can do this every day as like your journaling practice for like the next 30 days. You pick one thing and you're like, this is the thing that I am working on today. So you're going to dump out everything that you have a hard time accepting. You're going to ask yourself, where does this make sense that I feel this way about myself or about these parts of myself that I don't think I can accept? And then you can ask yourself, how can I begin to accept these parts? What's the lowest level thought that I can have to begin to accept this part of me? And then what if that part was just a child wanting love? How would I treat myself if I saw that this part of me was just a child that needed my support and love? Of course you would accept yourself. Of course you would. So I want you to do that, and I want you to really hear me when I say that, like, your self-acceptance will set you free, and then it won't become a matter of if you'll achieve your dreams or if you're good enough. It'll be when you achieve your dreams and when you feel good enough. Okay, so again, self-acceptance is just confidence that you can see. Self-acceptance is just confidence that is reflected out to somebody else, and they can see when you accept yourself, because it comes through by way of confidence. All right, my loves. Love you guys so much. Remember, if you are interested in doing one-on-one coaching with me so you can overcome imposter syndrome for good, feel good enough, and sign consistent clients in your business, you're going to want to go to the link in my show notes and book a consultation call to work with me. Here's what will happen. You will book the call. You will fill out the application form. It is like university and college all over again, except I'm going to accept you no matter what. And then we are going to get on a sales call, and you and I are going to talk, and we're going to see if it's a good fit. And then after that, you are going to make your first payment, or you're going to pay in full. And then you are going to sign the contract and do all that good shit. And then we're going to have a 2-hour deep dive that is completely complimentary. We are going to deep dive into your business, into your mindset, into all the things that you want to work on and improve and grow and change over our 6 months together. And then we meet weekly for 50 minutes every week for 6 months. And we create the business of your wildest dreams. Okay? So book a consultation call at the link in my bio to get that process started. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next week for a bonus episode, because there's 5 weeks in March. See you then. Thanks for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to find out how you can take this work deeper with me in one-to-one coaching or in my lifetime group coaching program, The Worthy Woman Method. In the show notes, you'll also find a free 3-day challenge to start the process of overcoming your inner imposter. And once you're done with that, screenshot this episode and share it on Instagram, tagging me at YourCoachJill so we can connect. See you next time.